And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host, Dan, aka Smash a Mash, coming at you from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, citing fact after fact. And we've got a little bit of an uptick here in solar activity. Once again, kicking off. A little bit of flaring coming from this sunspot group down here. And an old sunspot group is about to get a new name. This one up here in the northeast. We'll get to it. First, your SDO colorized magnetogram. That's the last 24 hours, by the way, from SDO 335 angstroms. There's yesterday plus today so far. You can see two active regions rising up there. One of them does have sunspots. The more farther south one does not have a sunspot. And you can see that umbra rotating into view right up there. It's a new sunspot, making it all the way around, at least one Carrington rotation. Press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Thanks to our YouTube subscribers for putting up with the pathetic censorship on the platform. If you haven't seen our review, it's an unboxing and a little bit of a demo of the products from Hemp Lucid. If you haven't seen that, check that out. Press like, press subscribe, press share, etc. Thanks to everybody who views the videos on YouTube. If you're viewing any place else besides YouTube, please go subscribe over on YouTube. If you visit our links, you'll find them below the video as well as on the homepage at smashamash.com. You may find our latest link there to the Hemp Lucid shop. Try some Delta 8 gummy cubes. They are not only tasty, they are also potent. A great value, I believe. And there are the most popular products, the water-soluble CBD tincture. So visit those links. Again, you can find them on the homepage at smashamash.com. And once again, welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Congratulations on realizing that the channel exists. Links to our social media and lots more on the homepage. In 2018, a crack YouTube unit was sent to social media prison for a crime we didn't commit. We promptly escaped the maximum security social media stockade to the internet underground, where we survive as producers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find the content, maybe you can hire the Smash team. Another link you can find there is to SureMed. It's not insurance, it's an association membership, but it does allow you to purchase insurance as a member of the SureMed group. So check it out. The base membership alone gives you all kinds of features like doctors by phone, counselors by phone, virtual veterinarians, discounts on dental, vision, and your pharmaceutical products, not to mention lots more. Check out the links for that if you'd like to improve your health. That is the goal of the American Better Health Organization, otherwise known as SureMed. You'll find links on the Smash Team site as well. These videos were brought to you in part by the Smash Team. Gold and Silver Smash Team members especially are executive producers of the content. They're increasing the probability these videos will continue to exist, remain publicly visible, and free for all to view. So support us that way. If you want to support us via subscription services, thanks to everybody who has at smashomash.com/Smash Team. Additional content for Gold and Silver subscribers. Biggest sale of the season going on in the Redbubble shop. Get 30% off of everything. We've got 23 designs there, shown in order of best selling. So check those out. By the way, I don't have any political views. If you're concerned about my political views, well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't associate with political parties, never have, probably never will. I've never been a member of one. Today's featured product is Do Not Pole Vault the Caldera. Now, of course, this one is just a message of hope, essentially. Our finest days lie ahead, so don't pole vault the caldera. If you're going on vacation to go visit a live volcano, leave the vault pole at home. And in the meantime, perhaps check out our colorful design here to help advertise the YouTube channel as well as the smashomash.com site. Smash staff and I own the socks. They're quite comfy, and the print quality is quite high. So check that out. Remember, folks, if you're going through hell, keep going. And do not pole vault the caldera. It could be unhealthful. Again, don't forget to press like, subscribe, share, etc. on YouTube. and save 30% off on the merch items there at the biggest sale of the season. Speaking of calderas, let's see what volcanoes are erupting. It looks like a little bit of an uptick here around the world. Shivaluch is exploding, producing a 13,000-foot ash plume, and now Bezimiani showing back up on the list here with a 28,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. It's exploding. It's a flight level 280. South of that is Alade, as it explodes, 12,000-foot ash plume from Alade. Sakurajima, 8,000-foot ash plume. Subinosejima, 6,000-foot plume of volcanic ash from Subinosejima. Semeru down in Indonesia also exploding. Flight level 140. Kerinci on the Isle of Sumatra exploding. Flight level 150. And headed down to Central America to Fuego at Guatemala, also exploding. Flight level 160. Mild explosions from Sangay in Ecuador, producing sporadic emissions of volcanic ash. Please don't pole vault the caldera. And last but not least, Sabancaya in Peru exploding, flight level 250. Let's take a look at seismicity. So a little uptick in earthquakes here. No large quakes over the past 24 hours, but a little higher frequency of quakes. And remember, folks, any earthquake can be a foreshock. The largest earthquakes of the past 24 were only in the 5 magnitude range, such as this 5.0 in Chile. There's a 4.7. See, there's a perfect example of a foreshock, and then a larger quake at a 5.0 south of Xinjiang, Chile. That's a quake made in Chile. Probably an earthquake made with stolen U.S. intellectual capital. Okay. Directed energy weapons probably caused that earthquake. Continuing on here, just scrolling up the list. There was a 4.0 at Fortuna, California. Again, largest quakes of the past 24 hours were only in the 5 magnitude range, like that 5.3 at the Philippines that came in at 2:06 this morning, Universal Time. Peru also had a 5.0, and once again, I would reiterate that any earthquake can be a foreshock. Largest quake of the past 24 hours was a 5.6 at Tonga. It also came in this morning, not too long ago here, at 7:50 Universal Time. And let's get back to space. So here's the 24-hour SDO footage, 304 angstroms. One of the many favorite wavelengths here from SDO, ionized helium. It's a portion of the extreme ultraviolet spectrum. And here are some additional wavelengths here. Here's 335 plus 193 angstroms. And you will see a decent-sized C-class flare happening right in this area. Right at the end of the video there. It happened just a couple hours ago. The radial flux has come up a little bit here from its low of 105 solar flux units. Now back up to 108 solar flux units. If you're wondering what a solar flux unit is, it is 10,000 joules of radial flux density, discovered in 1947 by some Canadian radio enthusiasts messing around with some World War II radio equipment. They discovered the 10.7 centimeter radial flux, and later it was determined that it's proportional to sunspot number, which is the red line depicted here. That's the 1-year graph of the radial flux, black line, and the sunspot number, which is the red line. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard here, not forecasting any additional geomagnetic storms or geomagnetic unrest. We do see a high-speed coronal hole wind stream continuing here, as we did see some brief periods of geomagnetic unrest for about 9 hours just before midnight yesterday, Sunday, October 23rd. Continuing on, here's Earth's magnetic moment from space. And thanks for leaving a comment, Tinman1057. This is the last 4 hours of magnetohydrodynamic pressure modeled by the Space Weather Modeling Framework. And here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. This is also the Space Weather Modeling Framework, but it's scaled here in nanotesla, Nanotesla are the units depicted in this imagery. And like the last imagery, it is the last 4 hours. We show it daily on the channel. It's great at showing the locations of aurorae, pipeline, railway, and power line induction. Again, things here pretty calm over the past 4 hours. We did actually get a NOAA alert this morning, expecting a KP4 because of a little increase in the solar wind speed, but the magnetic fields are not, they're not playing along. They're not cooperating with that NOAA alert. So in the past 24, the highest geomagnetic unrest we saw was K4.33. Current conditions are 2.33 for the planetary K index, a measurement of global geomagnetism. And let's go to the real-time solar wind. It did flirt with 600 kilometers per second here in the past 24. Here you can see a reading of around 580 kilometers per second there. Current conditions a little bit slower than that, about 548 kilometers per second. 537 kilometers per second. Solar wind density 8 protons per cubic centimeter. Keep in mind the ACEN discovered they'd make their measurements at Lagrange point 1, about 1 million miles from Earth, something like 4 lunar distances. It is well outside of Earth's magnetosphere, that's the point. The solar wind can't be measured inside the Earth's magnetosphere. Next year, GOES magnetometers, there are those readings. It looks like the GOES 17 has just made some adjustments to its orbit. Those arc jet moments there depicting the usage of thrusters. And let's continue on to the heliospheric current sheet. So Earth now in a North Pole current sheet. There may be a South Pole current sheet coming soon to a magnetosphere near you. We'll have to see what happens. Don't be surprised to see a South Pole current sheet popping through at the moment. Earth is in a North Pole current sheet. Here is the line of sight field plot. Sun's B field there depicted in blue. North solar polar field in green, South solar polar field in red, and let's move to coronal holes. So we've got some North Pole-oriented coronal holes rotating in here in the east, and some South Pole coronal holes rotating out in the west. Those South Pole coronal holes are the ones providing the current coronal hole high-speed stream. And here is the imagery from SDO in 211 angstroms. Am I getting a little tilted jack-o'-lantern face going on here? Here are the eyes. Here's the mouth. Little tilted jack-o'-lantern there. What's up with that? I'll tell you what's next. It's time for sunspots. Again, we're going to have at least one new named sunspot group. This one here got named as we forecasted yesterday. That's 3130. So up here we'll have 3131, which is an old sunspot getting a new name. And here's some composite imagery. This is 1700 angstroms plus 171 angstroms from SDO. That's the last 24 hours. And let's bring up the SDO magnetogram for that same period. And the continuum imagery. A little bit of growth in this sunspot group down here, and a little bit of flaring. As it approaches the limit, will become more likely to produce a large flare. We're excited. Also, by the way, we may have some coronal mass ejections headed toward Earth. We've got a little bit of gaps in the data, but we'll see what we can do in just a moment. No relativistic particles showing up there on the GOES 16 proton flux. And again, we saw a decent sized flare here. A C4.22 came in at right at 8 o'clock Universal Time this morning on Monday, October 24th. Congratulations on surviving another weekend. Here is your 94 angstroms 24-hour SDO video. We've got another composite that we threw together here for you. This next one is 1600 angstroms plus 131. That's ionized carbon and ionized iron. And let's move on to a star chart. If you're up before dawn, you might see Mars high on the ecliptic, right near the galactic plane. It's too cloudy to see anything in terms of celestial bodies over the Lehigh Valley at the moment. It's raining, last I checked. Next, we're approaching a new moon. Looks like we're about 1 day away. Here comes your solar system forecast. Here's where things will be in a week. We will have a crescent waxing on the 31st of October, otherwise known as Halloween, All Hallows Eve, whatever you'd like to call it. One of the top favorite holidays around lots of places. Next, coronagraphs. I think these are depicting an Earth-directed CME. It happened at about 1500 yesterday, I believe. Maybe 1600, something like that. We're going to show you a little more imagery of that. That's yesterday's coronagraphs from George Mason University. And here are today's coronagraphs. It's only 24 frames. And let's continue on to look at stereo A, which again, unfortunately, has data gaps, and Soho-Lasco C3. So here you can see right at about 1800, you can see some ejecta from stereo A. And if you look at that same time frame, we see ejecta all around the obscurement disk here. So that looks like an earthly directed CME to me. At least a partial component of that I would expect to be earthly directed. So I would have to say that we can expect to see that. Early in the day on the 27th. Early in the day on the 27th, we can expect a CME impact. Maybe midday. Early to midday on the 27th is when you can expect to see that impact. 99% sure some portion of that coronal mass ejection is earthly directed. Again, unfortunately, missing data there on stereo A, not really helpful. Sometimes you have to use a little bit of deductive reasoning when there is a gap in the data. So we've got some 24-hour videos of that also. There is Soho-Lasco C2 and C3, along with SDO 304 angstroms. And we'll zoom out. Great imagery of Venus there as well. So we may have some auroral fireworks here in about 3 days. And let's continue on here to check solar filaments. So this hydrogen alpha imagery is great at showing dark regions where there are filaments. And indeed there are some filaments here on the earthly facing portion of the solar disk. Pretty large one up here in the northern hemisphere and several in the southern. Here's the last couple of hours from the GOES 16 SUVi. It's what we typically stream all day on Twitch, twitch.tv/smashomash if you haven't checked it out. Install the mobile app. It'll actually alert you when we go live. twitch.tv/smashomash. And let's switch to the composite imagery here from SDO for the past 24 hours. There's 304 plus 171 angstroms, 2 house favorites in one series of images. Moving on to bonus features. We see some surface charging hazards here over Mexico, moving into the central Atlantic Ocean. Those caused by low energy electrons on the outside of spacecraft. Your electron flux remains cratered here, as we typically see during coronal hole high-speed streams. No surprise to our regular viewers. And there is the relativistic electron forecast model by NOAA. I'm not so sure we're going to get up to these levels. If the coronal hole high-speed stream continues, we can expect this to be about where that yellow diamond was once again. And there's the one-year graph to put it in context. If you want to view that yourself, it's from solon.info. And let's take a look at the ionosphere, which is looking pretty low frequency here at the moment. You're going to see some major anomalies here in the bridge between Earth and space. So the F flare there, as you can see, is located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. And here is the vibrational frequency. And it's vibrating slowly. The frequency looking a little bit lowly. Don't worry, if you're not used to looking at this imagery, we'll show the anomalygram. It can definitely be a little confusing, so here is the anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. And lots of red here showing up. Not just at the poles, but around the equator. Huge amount of red showing up there over the southern portion of Africa, the Southern Ocean, the Indian Ocean, Oceania, Antarctica, the North Polar region. Lots and lots of low-frequency anomalies. And that's my cue to show the latest image. That's 10:15 Universal Time. Ionogram and anomalygram. We'll also show the total electron content. So this is just one slice of the atmosphere. This is the free electrons all the way up to the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt. So that is the free electrons from ground level up to about 12,500 miles of altitude, which is approximately where your GPS satellites are located. And we're actually seeing very low levels of electron content here. So some GPS anomalies can be expected to continue over North America, but quite low electron counts. Very low electron counts there. And don't worry, there's more to come, like the latest intensitygram and latest colorized magnetogram. So let's take a look at this sunspot. It's been the most active in terms of flares. It's beta gamma class. I don't think it's beta gamma delta class, just beta gamma. Let's take a look at this sunspot. That is looking like it is beta class, but just barely. There is a South Pole trailing umbra visible there. So again, it's a beta class sunspot, but just barely. It's beta gamma class, but holding on by a thread. I'm pretty sure I see an umbra there. It's a little bit early to tell. If you view this video a little bit later in the day, let us know in the comments if there's been any changes. It looks like this group has grown a little bit as well. There are the fields there. That is beta gamma class. And how about one more series of composite images before we shift from space weather to Earth weather? There are 3 species of ionized iron depicted in this: 335, 193 plus 94 angstroms, And let's pause for station identification before we move into earthly weather. This is the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And as the sun rises over the Atlantic, we've got some visible satellite images for you here. If anybody's trying to convince you that the Earth is not an oblate spheroid, perhaps show them some photography from the GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite. That looks a lot like light being cast onto a sphere, doesn't it? Yeah. People have known for thousands of years, since Eratosthenes measured the planet accurately by using shadows at the equinox. Or I think it was at the solstice, actually. So what we're looking at here is the total cloud water. One of the many features that you can check out on nullschool.net, and check out this low around the Dakotas/Minnesota area. It's bringing snow. So we figured we would give it a show. Check out all the lows around Antarctica. As summer approaches. All right, so here are the surface winds of the eastern world. Jet streams of the eastern world look like this. It's the 250 hectopascal winds. Jet streams of the western world looking like this. Some cold air once again being injected into the mid-Atlantic states, it looks like. Also New England. Seeing some Great Lakes air being pushed down. And a high pressure zone right here. You can see a clockwise rotation. An upper level anticyclone. Here are the surface winds of the western world. Surface winds of the central world looking like this. And how about the jet streams? There you go. And we're going to show you some weather forecasts here right after we show the weather.gov map. There's your weather.gov map. If your county's lit, click your county on weather.gov. All that purple there around Montana, that is all winter weather advisories. Those pink areas are winter storm warnings. Again, if your county's lit, click your county. Let's do a pressure and precipitation forecast here. It was not available during show prep time, so here comes your GFS 72-hour pressure and precipitation forecast. Expecting some strong storms here to form over Texas and Oklahoma, and then moving into Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, as snow continues to fall in the northern and central Rockies. Again, that's your 72-hour GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. We saw some strong lightning as well in the past about 10 hours. Here's the current snowfall situation. Heavy snows have fallen in Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming, especially also Colorado, seeing significant amounts of snow. Let's advance this 3 days to see where snow depth is expected to be by the European forecast. And check it out. Lots of snow there forecasted by the European model. The heaviest expected to be in Wyoming. Pushing 20 inches there. 17 inches there expected in Wyoming. Over a foot expected in large portions of Colorado. Despite all that hot air coming out of the state of Colorado. So check out all the lightning. Some heavy lightning here in North Dakota, Minnesota, Kansas. It was playing so well, then it stopped. Because reasons. I don't know why. What's up with that? Let me press refresh. Yes, it's a large data request. There we go. Heavy lightning there. Is it thunder snow? Let us know if you experienced some thunder snow. Next, your real-time lightning map. Let it connect. Give it a minute. It is lightningmaps.org. It looks like we may have some active cells here in Minnesota. Check it out. Duluth. There's thunder rolling into Duluth. Yowzers. Does that seriously say Richard I. Bong Airport? You're kidding me, right? Richard I. Bong Airport. That's not real. Are you trolling me, lightningmaps.org? What is up with this? Anyway, there are some active cells there in Minnesota. Is it thunder snow? Let us know in the comments if you are viewing from Duluth. So here's your U.S. Doppler radar map. We're going to zoom out briefly here to show all 50 states of AUSA, the allegedly United States of America. There you go. There are all 50 states. We'll focus on the lower 48 because there's quite a bit of precipitation here in the Pacific Northwest, the north central portion, and around Texas. Also the Great Lakes and the Northeast all experiencing a relative humidity of 100%, otherwise known as the dew point, when precipitation occurs when water can no longer remain in vapor and must condense into droplets. Here are the clouds and fog. That's 3.9 nanometer radiation from the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite. And there is the water vapor map showing all the water vapor. Hopefully that clears things up. If your Doppler radar is unclear as to what will happen next, if you understand atmospheric physics and you have access to the water vapor map, it should close things out. It should verify the way patterns will move. Looks like it's snowing in parts of Kansas as we stream the video. This is your recap. And it's time to close this mother out. Thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network, least busted name of news. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And may that solar wind be at your back.